Before we go into this episode of Who Actually Is Unlucky Leather Co., I just wanted to let you know that this episode is also sponsored by Unlucky Leather Co. Unlucky Leather Co., your stop for your EDC leather needs. And now have fun listening to Who Actually Is Unlucky Leather Co. Moin moin and a dear welcome to another episode of Tim's Sprachnachrichten or Tim's voicemails for you English-speaking people out there. And today I have a very, very special guest to me, and that's Dustin of Unlucky Leather Co. Hey there, Dustin. Nice to have you on.
Hey, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. I mean, it has been a long time of waiting, now, right?
Yeah, we've been trying to do this for since last year. I think things just kept getting pushed and pushed.
Yeah.
So, but finally got some leather to you.
But good things take time, right? So
that's right.
I mean, finally we are here. I'm happy to have you on my show, and I'm really stoked to talk to you for I don't know, maybe about an hour or something like that. And you just like you said, you sent me in beautiful organizer. It's the caddy, right? I always
it's a pocket organizer, so that one I call the messenger.
Oh yeah, messenger, that's it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the beauty of this thing is I mean, we are recording without video, so for all you people listening, I will put something in the video, in the audio, so you can take a look at it. But when did it arrive? Let me rethink real quick. I guess starting this week should be, right?
It was about a week ago, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah, exactly. Last Saturday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and since then, I put it in my pockets, and man, this thing just rocks, right? It packs everything I need: big knife, pry bar or pen, flashlight, and a coin. And especially the coin, because the Stay the Course coin by Erling EDC is so special to me. And then because it has this awesome coin slip integrated into it, I mean, I love it. I really do. It's amazing work, awesome fit and finish. Really doesn't compare to anything I own. So, man, this is awesome work, really.
I appreciate that.
So, oh yeah, you wanted to say something? Sounded like it.
No. So that was somebody, I think when I first started, once I had kind of worked through a couple different pocket organizer designs, a lot of times the idea was having a dedicated flashlight loop to the pocket organizer. And somebody asked me about making one without a dedicated flashlight loop. So I went through one other variation. I made a few of them, and then I wanted to change it. So I don't know, it took me probably another 6 to 8 months to get it to where it is now. Trying to make something that I felt was unique and potentially added something different to the market that there is now. So the biggest problem about leatherwork is that, you know, there's only so many different designs, and specifically when you get into EDC, there's, you know, you're trying to figure it out how to make something unique, and it's a challenge.
Oh yeah, especially because just like you said, you are so limited in your design options, right? Because every other organizer I know has a lamp slip, a flashlight slip, right? Mm-hmm. So there's always a special spot dedicated to the flashlight. Right. And now having the messenger without this dedicated spot leaves it really open, right? You can pack a flashlight, or you can just decide to pack your pen and your pry bar instead of the flashlight. So you got so much more freedom organizing your gear in the messenger, and that's the stuff I love the most about it, right? Because if I take any other organizer with a flashlight slip or flashlight loop, I always feel like I'm forced to put a flashlight there. Right.
Right.
I mean, I'm not, right? I can also try to slip my, I don't know, pry bar or something into it, but it's like the reserved spot for the flashlight. And the messenger doesn't have that, right?
Right. Yeah. So the goal was trying to. I'm always trying to create something that um, is going to cover a different style of carry. And
Mm-hmm.
like you said, not everybody is going to either A, carry a flashlight, or B, carry a flashlight along with all the rest of their gear.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
may throw it in their bag. They may put it in a different pouch. They may just want to carry it in a separate pocket. So I'm trying to cover the customers that prefer a different carry that doesn't have the dedicated flashlight loop.
Oh, yeah. I would say achieved.
Thank you.
So let's start way back. And
Okay.
the first question is always the same question because I love it. Has EDC always played a role in your life?
Absolutely. I
Okay.
remember from a very early age getting either a buck knife or
Oh, yeah.
a Swiss Army knife. So always had some sort of pocket knife with me.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up um, always in rural areas where, a lot of times the activities are camping and hunting and fishing. So typically everybody has a pocket knife with them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it definitely didn't grow as much as it has until I started doing leather work and then started
Mm-hmm.
entering into the EDC community as we know it now.
Yeah.
But it's always played some sort of part in my life.
Okay. So you said the EDC in itself grew more onto you as you came into contact with crafting leather, right? Or leather craft
Yes.
in that sense.
Yes.
So when did that happen?
So that's much more recent. So that everything started with the leatherwork
Yeah.
at the beginning of 2023.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's pretty young, right? That's just
Yeah.
now about 2 years, I guess.
Yeah. So when it comes to leatherwork, I'm only about 2 years into this. So a little over two
Wow.
years.
Okay. So that's even more stunning because the quality of the messenger is so top notch. I wouldn't I As I got it, I would have said you are at least 10 years into crafting leather goods because this is phenomenal, right?
Yeah, thank you. The funny thing is that my interest probably started for, yeah, probably roughly 4 years ago.
Okay.
However, whenever I have an interest in something, I have this issue where I will spend a year to 2 years researching
Oh
whatever
yeah,
that
okay.
subject is before
Hmm.
I make a decision to jump in. And then usually when that happens, I'm like both feet, jump in head first, whatever it takes to just do as good as I can at it.
Oh yeah, that really paid off, man. That's sick.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thankfully, with how technology is nowadays, there's so much information you can learn,
Yeah, yeah.
so many different ways that you can get that information. Um, Thankfully, there's a lot of crafters out there that are uh, posting videos that are teaching people different techniques, different
Mm.
styles, and yeah, I definitely learned a lot from other leather workers that were dedicating their time as creators to making content.
Awesome. Thanks to them then.
Yeah.
So, would you say the time 4 years ago or 2 years ago is also the beginning of Unlucky Leathercore?
No, so that would have been 2 years ago when that started.
Okay, okay. So,
Yeah.
not when you started researching how to work with leather, just like when you first really worked with leather, right?
Yeah. So 4 years ago, it was a lot of kind of trying to figure out just how it was done in general.
Okay.
I really had no goal at what I was trying to do, what type of niche I was trying to get into. when it comes to leatherwork, because that's kind of the most overwhelming part is that you look at leatherwork and it's in everything. There's
Oh
people
yeah.
that specialize in leatherwork for all kinds of areas of life, and when you're first looking at it, you're just like, where do you even start? So I had no idea where I was going to start, and then once I did, just kind of started with wallets, and then um, it wasn't quite getting, I wasn't quite making what felt passionate quite yet. And then
Okay.
I don't even remember how I started to stumble upon um, leatherwork that was pertaining to uh, pocket organizers and whatnot. But when I
Mhm.
did, I was like, yeah, I want to figure that out. And so that's kind of, um, I don't
So
know,
was it
origins or
like
unlucky.
was it like man, now I got to make my own organizer and now I have to fill it with gear that got you more hooked into or onto EDC, or how did that work out?
Yeah, I think it was first looking at like, okay, that's an awesome way to be able to carry different pieces of gear. And
Okay.
I had a few very basic things that I was carrying.
Hmm.
And then once you do that, it's like, okay, I want to, buy this knife or that flashlight and then fit around it. And
Oh yeah,
then
I know that one.
next thing you
Yeah.
know, because then when you're looking at like even things as basic as a knife slip, you start looking at the dimensions of different knives, and
Hmm.
then you're like, oh, then you discover this maker, and then you discover that maker, and then a few of the knives I bought so that I could get the fitting right, and then uh, next thing you know, yeah, you're collecting knives, and then um, the excuse of like, oh, I need to buy this so that I can fit it right went out the
Oh yeah.
window once I kind of figured out a system for sizing up knife slips and then even uh, sheaths for fixed blades. I figured
Hmm.
out how to do a lot of that sizing without actually having to have the knife in hand. So then it's like, okay, well, I don't have that excuse anymore. Now it's just, I'm just obsessed with collecting.
Awesome, man. I love that because it's always the part in us that makes us the gearhead we are, right? That
Yeah.
unites us in a sense. So that's always, man, how did you get into EDC? And then it's like, oh yeah, I don't know. As a child, I picked up this and that and so and this,
hmm
and then all of a sudden it's like, but then I got into collecting, and then it's over,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think, yeah, you start off, I think a lot of people probably start off with some of the larger names that they know of. And then,
Mhm.
um, I mean, I've seen a lot of people that stick with that, like there's a guy I follow that he collects nothing but Spyderco, specifically the Para 3.
Okay.
Um, and and then there's other people where it's like, yeah, they start there, and then next thing you know, you're putting in orders for customs from small makers, and um,
Oh yeah.
collecting. Yeah, it's just I don't know. I've
The
gone both
pricey
ways.
stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So where does the name Unlucky Leather Co. come from? Because from my point of view, unlucky doesn't really fit, right? Because when I remember right, 2 years ago, and now you are one of the leather crafters in our scene, for me at least.
hmm
Um, but that doesn't fit unlucky. It's more like lucky, right?
Yeah. So it has a couple different meanings behind it. So the very foundation of the name. Originally, I was trying to come up with a name. I'm not. Funny enough, I'm not like a super creative person when it comes to coming up with a name.
Okay.
So I was trying to figure something out, and then I was trying to use my name to I don't know cultivate some sort of idea. So
Mhm.
originally, I started with uh, dealing, like dealing leather, like card dealing, because my first initials D and then my last name Lindley, so Lynn. So I start with that. wasn't happy with that. It felt very bland, very generic. But then I had the cards, and then I started thinking about one of my favorite jokes from a comedian who's passed named Mitch Hedberg, where he talks about how he has a blackjack dealer friend who's got um, cards tattooed on his arm. I'll probably butcher the joke, but talks about him having like a king and an ace, and he said, if I got a tattoo for blackjack, I would have a 10 and a 2, and later a king. And so the joke being that he's so unlucky that if he got a tattoo, it would come up to 22 instead of blackjack number 21. And so it's like, okay, so I'm going to work with these two cards. And so it's kind of an ode to one of my favorite comedians, but it's also this idea of not basing your growth or uh, whatever you're doing with your life on luck,
Oh
but
yeah.
so the goal being don't be lucky, be unlucky, and just make your own way and just
Oh yeah.
figure it out, put in the work. So that's kind of the double meaning behind it is both kind of based on a joke, but it's also like um,
Mm.
don't don't just like hope that you're lucky and that you'll just kind of make it. You're the one that is in charge of
Oh yeah.
where your life is going. So
So somewhat in a sense of mistakes are the best teacher, right?
absolutely.
Yeah, I love that because my apprentices, I'm a carpenter myself, and
Hmm.
my apprentices always fear making mistakes. And
Yeah,
I always tell them, dude, don't fear mistakes, make them so you can learn the most of it. If you start and you are already doing everything right, you cannot learn as much, right? So
yeah,
make mistakes, um, learn from it, and then you can grow even bigger, right?
yeah. No, I think that's a great thing to try to instill in your life. And then
Oh
when you
yeah.
talk about carpentry, and I believe, well, I know it's the same with leather. I imagine it's the same with carpentry that, um, like when I first started, there was a few projects I was working on and I had invested, at that time I wasn't as fast as I am now. So everything wasn't quite as streamlined and what takes me 45 minutes to an hour to do now probably took me 2 or 3 hours to do when I first
Oh
started.
yeah. Yeah, sure.
And, and you could be 2, 3 hours deep into a project and you make one mistake and you have to start over. You can't just
Yeah.
like cover up
Yeah.
that mistake. And leather is one of those unforgiving mediums where if you make a mistake, you can't cover that up. You have to start over, even if it's unstitching that one section and then having to recut that section and go through all the process of the edge work and uh,
Mm.
punching your stitch holes and all that. You have to start over. So um, I definitely learned to look at the mistake I made, figure out why I made that mistake, and then throw that away and start over and just learn from those mistakes.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, definitely, 100%. It's the same in carpentry, right? Depends on the mistake. Maybe sometimes you can fix it,
Hmm.
but most of the time you have to start all over, and that's um, yeah. I mean, it sucks,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah,
I mean, at the end of the day, who cares, right?
yeah,
So
yep. I've kind of mentally turned it in my head whenever I make a mistake now. I just kind of laugh about it, and I have this thought of, like say I make a scratch or a mark on the leather. In my head, I just laugh and think like, okay, well, do I throw it away or do I just make a bunch more scratches on it and just call it rustic? But no, I don't. I throw it away and start over. But
Yeah. So I always say to myself and to my colleagues and apprentices, um, as long it's just damage on the material, it doesn't really matter
Hmm.
because if you don't injure yourself, who cares, right? It's
Yeah.
just wood or leather, right?
Yeah.
So you are unharmed, so everything is fine. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Keep
Yep.
on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. My normal job is I'm an electrician at an underground gold mine, and it's a it's a very dangerous place to work. And the thing
Oh
that
yeah.
they push the most is that the you are the most valuable asset, the individual that ever comes out of the mine. It's not the gold, it's not any of the other materials. It's the miner that comes out safe. That is the most valuable thing. And so, yeah, like you said, and
Yeah. 100.
it doesn't
percent
really matter. The material you can replace, you can start over,
Exactly.
and you can just keep as long as you're safe. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So, what was your first design? Is it still around? You said, if I remember correctly, you started with wallets, right?
Yeah, I started with wallets. I have a bag full of wallet mistakes that I was going through. You know, part of it's mistakes, part of it is just trying to figure out like how do you even come up with a design.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a mix of that. So none of them. I mean, they're still around. My wife has a wallet from a starter kit when I first started. That's very terrible quality leather, um, but she refuses to throw it away. But um, yeah, wallet wise designs that I'm still making. All the stuff I started with, I
Oh,
moved on
awesome.
as I started to grow and kind of figure out
Hmm.
what I like to make.
Awesome. Awesome. So, just to put your lineup on the table real quick. So, you got the messenger, you got wallets. What else?
So the messenger, the other pocket organizer is the Bard. So that's the one that
Oh, yeah.
does have a dedicated flashlight loop on it.
Hmm.
Um, and then I didn't come up with a unique name for it, but I have a field notes cover, um, the Pilgrim wallet, and then I make a few different sizes of valet trays.
Hmm.
Um, Trying to think. I have a basic knife slip. Um,
Fixed blade sheath, right?
yeah, I've done a few. I haven't really made like
Oh, yeah, okay.
a dedicated design for them. It's just as people have reached out to me or um, close family reaching out, I've made a sheath that I felt fit the blade uniquely.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, eventually I do need to hammer out a designated fixed blade design. And then everything else, I think I have a few different one-offs. I've done some um, pretty cool collaborations with different companies. But yeah, dedicated design-wise, that's where I'm at currently.
Oh, yeah, just recently, I think it's like 2 days ago or a day ago, you was it a drop or a giveaway of one of your leather worry stones? That's
Oh
also a
yeah,
collaboration, right?
yeah, yeah. So I've done the leather worry stones. It's a 8-layer stacked worry stone, so it's got a good thickness to it. Um, so yeah, I've made quite a few of those as well.
Yeah, didn't you collaborate with Urban EDC on that one? Do I remember right? Or am I
No,
mistaken?
no, the worry stones have always just been my thing alone. I
Oh,
haven't
okay, okay, okay,
collaborated
okay.
with any, but
Oh,
yeah,
okay, okay. Mm,
yep.
cool.
Yeah, there was a company when I made some leather lanyard beads. Um, I'm blanking right now with the company, but I had made a batch for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming off night shift, so but I made a batch for them,
No
but other
worries.
than that, I haven't made them since then.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. So, how do you come up with new ideas?
So I I spend a lot of time um, either talking with other people in the community,
Mm-hmm.
or even just looking at the stuff that I carry. And I'm always trying to figure out uh, a solution that's going to fit people's lifestyle. Um, so coming up with something that is fairly compact but holds a decent amount of pieces of gear.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, like we talked about earlier, finding a design that is going to fit different styles of carry. You know, not
Mm-hmm.
everybody not everybody carries a pry bar. Not everybody wants to carry a flashlight, or if they do carry those things, maybe they carry them separately. Um,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
there's it's interesting as you begin to talk to different people. Some people, all they carry is a pocket knife and a pen, or they might carry depending on their work, they may keep their knife in a bag, so they may only have um, a pen, a pry bar, and a flashlight on them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and actually, that's another design I have. I have the Traveler slip that is much slimmer, and it's designed for carrying a pen, a pry bar, and a flashlight.
Oh, okay. That's new
So
one, right?
I've had it for a while. I just haven't made any of them.
Ah, okay, okay.
Yeah, actually, I have one for you. I know the people listening won't be able to see it, but here is what this one looks like.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, that's
So,
super, super simple,
yeah,
clean. I love it. Yeah, maybe you can send me a photo of it or something so I can
absolutely.
blend it in so people can see.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. But yeah,
um,
the goal is just trying to look at different people's carries, talk to them, see what they feel is missing from
mm,
the market at that time, and then just trying to figure out if I can find a way to to fill that void of leather goods that people are looking for, which um, sometimes is tough, you know, because
yeah,
there's only so many ways you can carry the the gear that people commonly carry, but just trying to the best I can to bring something that's unique or
mm,
different.
awesome. So, um, the thing is that why I ask the question, because for me it's sometimes like if I think about my content, it happens so often that in the middle of the night I wake up and I'm like, man, that would be an awesome idea. I grab my
Hmm.
field notes, write it down, and then go back to sleep. And then
Yeah,
when I wake up, look at it, and then it comes to, oh man, what the fuck was I thinking, right?
yeah,
So it's right into the bin. Or it's like,
yeah,
okay, I have to think about that one more time. So
yeah.
it depends. Sometimes it's like totally random idea. I try it out and it works.
Hmm.
And sometimes it's like, oh, that could be good. Try it out and push an episode online of it, and it's like, dude, what did you do there? That's not
Yeah,
good. So I
yeah.
mean, if I do that, I did that way back in the beginning. Um, I try to make unboxings on a only audio level, right? So podcast idea without any video, and that didn't turn out quite good, right? So, I
Hmm.
mean, for an unboxing, you need the visual, but
Yeah,
the episode is still online, right? So, if I do it, I don't delete it because it's part of the history. So, I mean,
yeah,
if there are some people who like it, they can still check it out.
yeah,
If not, I don't care.
yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely had moments like that, especially with the Bard pocket organizer that I have. Um, that one has gone through quite a few different variations, and every single time when I create that version of it, in my head, I'm like, all right, yeah, this is awesome. Like I'm happy with this. And
Mm,
then, you know, I carry it for a little bit or I photograph it, and it's there's been a few times where shortly after making it, making a bunch of them, I'm like, oh, I want to change this. So then I go through a change, and then so I feel pretty happy with where they're at now. Uh, but there's
awesome.
quite a few times where I made a design, and then I immediately start just becoming my own worst critic.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that's typical for a human being, right? You're always
yeah,
your worst critic. It's
yeah,
always the same. Yeah.
yeah.
So what inspires you to push on?
Um, you know, growing up, I didn't have a lot of different things that I felt super passionate about.
Hmm.
Um, and I noticed that throughout uh, my teenage years and my adult years that I just, I wasn't like an upset person. I wasn't upset or sad or anything. I just didn't have anything that I just thought about constantly, like something that I wanted to invest my time in and to create something. And so it was, leatherwork was something I began to become interested about, but then I was hesitant. So I spent several years just kind of researching it, looking at different niches to go into. And then once I stepped into it and started, really that's kind of the hardest part is just getting into it. And then once I realized how hooked I was, um, I just, I don't know, just having something that you're passionate about, even if it doesn't grow into anything super big, just having that was something I really enjoyed. It felt like it kind of um, filled a hole that nothing was in. So um,
Yeah.
yeah, it just feels like something that I can even if I had to shut everything down, even if Unlucky Leather Co. Um, didn't continue, I would still make stuff for myself, for family, for friends, because it's just enjoyable to feel like you can create something. Um,
Mm.
I'm not an artistic person. I was never a super creative person, so this is kind of my way of being able to create something, and that definitely keeps me going. And then um, just this community, I mean, it's pretty astounding, um, unique. I would say it's pretty
Oh yeah.
unique, this community, how supportive everybody is, how
Definitely. Yeah. 100%.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and of course, there might be a few negatives here and there, but
Sure.
it's so the positivity in this community far outweighs anything negative.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and so being a part of that and then being able to create something that I can put out into that community that people can enjoy, um, that that's going to keep me pushing for as long as I can
Mm.
do this.
Mm. So, as you talked about passion, I instantly had the sentence in my head: "Passion is the fuel to your inner flame." Right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That put it that puts it into one sentence, right? So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I totally agree with you on every point, on everything you just said. When I think about my work, the way you just talked about yours, I'm 100% with you,
Yeah.
because it's always like, there of course there are some negatives, but who cares if
Yeah.
everything else is so positive, right? So yeah, sure,
Hmm.
there are always negatives. You can't
Yeah.
go through life without negatives. That doesn't happen.
Yeah. It's just whether you choose to let it sink its teeth into you and affect you,
Oh yeah.
or whether you're going to just make it up in your mind that, you know what, none of that matters. I'm still enjoying what I'm doing and I'm going to keep doing it.
Or maybe even the negatives push you to be even more against the negative, right? That
Absolutely.
sometimes
Yeah.
happens too, yeah.
Yeah. I definitely have had interactions where, I began to let it eat at me, and then,
Mm.
I made that decision that, I'm not going to let this bother me anymore. I'm also the negativity that I'm receiving, I'm not going to I'm not going to reciprocate that. I'm not going to do that to other people, and that's and yeah, and I feel like that has pushed me to do things like search for collaborations. Like I if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to grow in this community, I want to try to do it with other people.
Oh yeah,
I want to find ways to help other people in um, whatever they're creating. If we can help each other grow, I'm going to do that as much as I can.
definitely. Yeah. So, what's your most successful product? Is there even
Uh,
one you would say it's, oh yeah, this one is the most successful?
I think the Bard pocket organizer is probably
Okay.
the most. The reason being, so when I was looking at different pocket organizers and trying to figure out how I could bring something different,
Hmm.
um, which is so hard. It's so hard to come up with a shape that not only that you like, but also isn't, is different from
Mm.
what's out there. But the one thing that I did notice is that a lot of them, if they had a flashlight loop, it was a single size. It was just a one size loop. So it didn't give customers options because you have people that prefer a smaller flashlight, or some people that prefer a much larger flashlight, and there was no there was no organizers that I could find that was offering different sized loops. So I was like, okay,
Mm.
this is what I'm gonna, it's gonna be. It was a little bit more work because you're taking a design and then you're having to adjust it multiple different times. But once I kind of figured out how I wanted to do it, I was able to start offering people three different sizes. So it covered like a standard AAA size, a standard AA size, and then a much larger flashlight like the size of flashlight that Barrel provides, or I think it would even fit the CWF Peanut. But yeah, I was just trying to come up with something that gave another option to the customer, besides just the color of the leather and the color of the
Yeah.
stitching, but allowed them to select what size flashlight loop that they wanted to better fit their carry. So definitely the Bard is probably the most successful.
Oh yeah, so I definitely need to check out the bard, right?
Yes, yep,
All right, so we have to talk after this here.
we will.
So, what is your most beloved product personally?
Oof.
Choose your favorite child, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Tough one, I know.
Um, my most beloved is probably my Pilgrim wallet.
Hmm.
The reason being is because all my other designs, normally, if I carried it, I carried a prototype, so it was
Hmm.
something that I carried while I was tweaking the design, or something that maybe was just made out of some scrap leather that I had so that I could test it. But it was never actually a design like that. I said, okay, I'm making this for me. Until I made myself a Pilgrim wallet, I had always just carried um, just a prototype, just something that I was just testing. It wasn't something that I made, specifically for myself. It was for a
Mm.
different purpose. So I think my most beloved, it would probably be the Pilgrim wallet. That was the first time that I ever actually sat down, had purchased leather, and set it aside specifically for making myself something.
Oh, awesome. So that's a really personal story as well behind it, right?
Yeah.
Mm. Relatable.
Yep. And I think
Um,
if you talk to a lot of leather workers, I think they do a lot of the same thing. They're not making something dedicated for themselves. And sometimes it's kind of a two-edged sword where it's you're doing it because you would prefer to get something out into the world. You'd rather send that off to somebody to enjoy, but
mm.
you're also, while you're doing the testing process, you're trying to not use material that you deem um, kind of set aside for products to sell. So you're using kind of scraps and other stuff while you're doing it. So um, yeah, it was that first time where I finally reached a point where I could, or at least how I felt comfortable doing that, like dedicating um, leather that I wanted for myself. So
Hmm. Is that wallet still in your pockets?
yeah, I got it right here.
Awesome.
So I did, and the other thing that makes it special is that I chose some Riccardo shell cordovan leather, um, and so it was a little bit pricier leather that I got to set aside and use on myself. So,
What makes that leather so pricey? As
um, so
me as being absolutely having no clue about pricings on leather.
yeah, so shell cordovan leather is made from horse, and so they use it from it's from the hindquarters of a horse. It's two specific areas on the horse,
Mhm.
and the process for making shell, I believe it takes like 6 months for them
Oh
to
wow.
get through the process of making um, shell cordovan leather. And during that process, not only with the different oils and tallows that they use for the tanning process, but they also shave down the leather to the layer that they call the shell, that provides a nice, unique, um, smooth texture. And then, with all the different oils and tallows that they use, it gives it a very unique smell.
Mm.
Um, but it's a leather that it doesn't have it doesn't like stretch a whole lot. Like it does enough for your whatever products you're using it for, but it won't. You know how like when you use or if you stuff a bunch of cards into a wallet and you kind of stretch it out and it stays like that. Um, the shell cordovan leather won't do that as much.
Oh,
But
okay.
I believe the main thing that makes it cost so much is just that long process. And then not only that, but the small sections that they're able to get um, to make shell cordovan leather. Typically, the size of these pieces of shell, they range from roughly 1 square foot to um, almost 3 square feet for a single section. And then you're only getting two of them uh, per horsehide. So they're not able to make a whole bunch of them, and then the process adds to the
Oh yeah.
cost.
Okay.
So
So it's
and I'm
very
sure,
special leather, right?
yeah, and that's a very very basic explanation of it.
Yeah,
I'm
no
I'm
worries.
sure, yeah, I'm sure I'm missing on a whole different or a lot of different points, but as far as I know, that's a big part of it.
That's enough for me. I don't need to know much more because I
Yeah.
mean, when I think about as a carpenter again, in my role as a carpenter, what makes things special? It's the material if it's rare, and
Hmm.
the thing even more important is the hours of work you put into it, right? So
Yeah.
if you work on a simple closet, you get it done in like 2 hours. It's not as pricey as you have to work on a more detailed and thought out closet that needs like I don't know 2 business days
Yeah.
to finish. Yeah, so that's a huge difference in price.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Name that one thing that impacted Unlucky Leather Co. the most.
Um, Man, I mean, honestly, I think going back to the beginning, probably the biggest thing that impacted Unlucky Leather Co. was uh, my my wife and my brother both knew that I had been um, pondering the idea of getting into leatherwork, and but I
Mm-hmm.
hadn't pulled the trigger. I hadn't purchased anything, and so funny enough, they both separately they didn't have a discussion. They both knew like, okay, for Christmas we're just gonna get them these basic leatherworking starter kits.
Awesome. Yeah.
I got two different starter kits for Christmas, and my wife did a bunch of research, and she found like a stitching pony and all these different things that I would need to start off. And that was probably the biggest thing that impacted, because who knows, if they didn't do that, I probably would still be just thinking about it. But once they did that, and I had my hands on some really crappy leather and low quality tools, it was just, that was the start of it. I was sold. I decided right then and there, like, okay, yep,
Awesome.
this is a lot cooler than I could have even imagined. And then next thing you know, I'm buying other leather, I'm purchasing other tools, and it was that catalyst that I needed to really get things started. Um, and I will always be grateful to them for
Awesome.
finally just deciding for me that I was going to give it a go.
So if you two are listening right now, thank you so much for giving Dustin the stuff he needed to start, because for me it's I love you being part of it, because especially after I got my hands on the messenger,
Hmm.
I instantly was blown away because I never touched quality like that before. And I mean, I
Mm,
have a lot of different organizers here, right?
yeah.
But this one, I don't know if it's just because this collaboration between us is so special to me, or if it's really the overall look of it and the fit and finish. It's just I love it the most of all my organizers, really. So
Well,
thank you
that definitely
too
means a lot
for
to me.
thank you too for giving Dustin the ass kick he needed to start leather
Absolutely.
crafting.
Yeah, I needed it for sure.
What's your personal highlight in the history of Unlucky Leather Co?
Oh, um, probably my personal highlight is probably um, connecting with Brian Elliott of P&W Toast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so him and I have done quite a few different collaborations, which they're just so much fun. And we have got to work with each other for, on a few different projects and figuring out a
Awesome.
few different things. But um, it was it was so fun because um, it was very early in my leatherworking career, trying to find my place in the EDC community. So I had,
Mm-hmm.
I was trying a few different strategies to network and connect with people for content creators. I was getting in touch with them, and then offering them a free wallet, or a free organizer or whatever, for in exchange for some a few posts and a review, an honest review of what they thought of the product and how I could change it and how it could make things better. But and that was going well. But the next step was like, okay, how do I connect with makers that have been in this community much longer than I,
Mm.
and have a larger following than I, how do I connect with these people and grow? And so I was trying to think of a unique way to do that. And I thought, you know what? Let me make like a tribute piece. And this was kind of my start to figuring out stacked leather designs. And
Mm-hmm.
so I made Brian a stacked leather toast replica of his design, um, that I just wanted to send to him, kind of in a way of like, hey, like here's a tribute piece, um, and I just wanted to send this to you, kind of as a way to like start a conversation, but also to show you like, hey, this is what I can do as a leather worker. And so it was a unique project, um, and a challenge to try to get in touch with him. But once I did, it was just, the rest was history. It was,
Mm.
we definitely got to work on a few different things. He's somebody that's developed into a good friend. I've uh, definitely just appreciated everything that he's doing and the projects that he's allowed me to be a part of. Um, and
Awesome.
just one of those friendships that you make along the way that starts off as a kind of a way to just grow your business, and next thing you know, it's somebody you just want to hang out with and chat with, and
Mm.
um, figure out different products and different designs with. So just just thankful that I was able to make that connection, and that Brian gave me a shot.
Awesome, awesome. The thing is with the toasts and knuckles in general,
Hmm.
they are forbidden and illegal here in Germany, right? Because
Yeah,
they are pronounced as weapon. So
right.
if you buy or sell or own something, that might end up not so good for you.
Yeah,
I mean, I personally cannot understand it because for me it's just like pocket jewelry, right?
yeah.
But for the law, it's like, dude, that's a weapon. Okay, okay. So I am able to carry a knife, but a knuckle is not. So yeah,
You carry a knife, or you could pick up a large rock. That's okay.
yeah, exactly. But
Yeah,
something which is just meant to be beautiful and not primarily to be something. I mean, it has its self-defense origins, of course, but I mean, just look at it, right? It's just beauty and not something meant to harm another person, right?
yeah.
So, Dustin, the last question is always the same, and that would
Hmm.
be, well, it's not a question; it's more like, um, I miss the English word right now. I force you to pick 3 words that describe unlucky leathercore.
Um, if I had to describe it in 3 words, I would probably say um probably never stop learning. I think that's
Mhm.
probably the biggest thing of Unlucky Leather Co. is just always trying to learn different techniques, always trying to improve on designs or create new designs, and
Awesome.
just the goal is just to not become stagnant.
Oh yeah, definitely. I totally resonate with that.
Hmm.
That's also a pretty awesome life motto, right? So never stop learning.
Yeah,
Um, Dustin, thank you so much for being on my show. It was really fun talking to you and getting to know um, your Unlucky Leather Co. business and the story behind it more. Thank you so much for being part of it.
yeah. Thank you for having me. This has been fun, and hopefully we can do it again sometime.
Oh, I hope so. Definitely
Yeah.
we can. From my side, let's go.
All right, let's do it.
So, for everyone listening, have an awesome day, evening, whatever you're doing right now. Have success, and just like Dustin said, never stop learning. See you around. Ciao, ciao.